The Apache Death Cave has a very interesting Native American historical background. Until recently, I was not sure if the story was real or not. After speaking with one of the Navajo Rangers, I confirmed parts of the story that went along with 3D ground imaging I took in 2021. The story is real. As the story goes, in the late 1870s, an Apache raiding party attacked multiple Navajo camps while the warriors were away. Many were killed, some women taken captive. When the Navajo warriors got back to camp and found the aftermath, they quickly located the trail of the attackers and went into pursuit. At some point, the Navajo got to the area of what is today Interstate 40, halfway between Flagstaff and Winslow, Arizona. The Navajo believed they had lost the Apache warriors. Then one of the warriors noticed smoke billowing out of cracks in the ground. The Navajo entered a canyon and located the Apache inside a large cave. The Navajo attempted to get their women back. When that failed and they believed the women were killed, they tried getting the Apache to exit the cave. The Navajo were waiting to kill the Apache as they would come out of the entrance. That did not happen, and the Navajo instead set the cave inside on fire. The Apache were killed due to smoke inhalation or by the Navajo as they attempted to exit the cave. There are some stories that the Apache's horses were slaughtered and the bodies of the horses piled up at the cave entrance so the Apache could not escape. This can't be true. Anyone that knows Native American culture during the 19th century knows the Navajo would not have killed the horses, but taken them as reparations for the attack on the camps, and because horses were prized possessions of the desert Southwest Native Americans. I will continue with the history, both the alleged and what really happened. So where to start? How about with how the caves were formed below ground, off the Interstate 40 freeway, where anyone can stop, park their car, and head down inside the Apache Death Cave. Many paranormal investigations have taken place down there, and those people have talked about malevolent spirits still lurking around. The cave is also littered with graffiti that looks to deal with the occult, possibly demonology. Some of the graffiti can only be seen with black lights. So the caves were formed around 50,000 years ago when a very large meteor impacted Arizona. Huge fissures were created below ground. This is the hole that meteor left. It's about 1 mile wide. The location is Meteor Crater, also known as Barringer Meteorite Crater. NASA used to train the astronauts that went to the moon in the center of the impact site. Some of that equipment remains there to this very day. The devastation 50,000 years ago was immense to the local flora and fauna. You can still locate meteor fragments for miles in each direction of the impact site. First, attribution for this photo and all the other Google Earth photos is to Google Earth Landsat Copernicus. So the meteor struck just over 7 miles away from Apache Death Cave. You can visit both locations the same day. Each is one Interstate 40 exit away from each other. To access Apache Death Cave, you need to exit at Two Guns, Arizona exit. Two Guns was a town close to this site that was bustling back in the late 1800s and early 20th century. Now many locals will tell you the entire area is cursed. People have committed suicide all over the place. This has been confirmed by local law enforcement. Commercial businesses have tried to survive at the site. All of them have failed. Those businesses have included a zoo back in the middle 20th century, an Indian outpost, multiple gas stations, a KOA campground, and a couple of retail stores. One person named Harry Miller even turned the entire area into a tourist attraction, calling the stop Apache Caves, then the Mystery Caves. Miller, along with another partner, tried even adding a dance floor inside the cave and wanted to have parties and gathering events below ground at the location. Nothing worked out well. The land seemed cursed. Harry Miller even ended up murdering his partner. That entire event became a real fiasco for the town of Two Guns. Needless to say, all the buildings that many people believe are relics of the past, a cowboy era of the 19th and 20th century, are fake. A tourist trap created by Miller and several other businessmen, trying to capitalize off the Native American history that occurred at the location in the 19th century. Now the cave itself is located directly below the building you see here in the photo. It's a quick climb downward. Many paranormal investigators begin to tell you they sense and feel something different or bad as they make the descent below. The wood bridge used to get down and that you see here is gone. Someone was awesome enough to put a new, sturdier wood bridge in its place. It's still a bit of a balancing act, however, to walk down it. Others have hiked down from the opposite side of the remaining structure's top side. This is the cave entrance. Supposedly a lot of bad, malevolent events have occurred inside. The sheriff's deputy that often sits in his vehicle topside is full of interesting stories about what he and other law enforcement officers have seen and heard here. The location looks to be a bit naturally formed and aided a lot by those businessmen from long ago that turned the location into a Route 66 attraction. Still, be careful. Parts looked mined, and other parts look like they could use new beams to hold up the ceiling. The fit inside is tight. The cave goes far back in multiple directions. Most people have little problem traversing through the main tunnel once inside. There are overhead openings throughout. Having a black light allowed me to see things I would not have without it. Some of those things I cannot unsee. More of those openings, I believe, were created so people could see inside after having paid the entrance fee back in the 1900s. The cave and man-made tunnels are made of several different rock types. The farther back you go, the more it turns into natural cave instead of man-made tunnels. Some spots are a tight squeeze. Very tight squeeze. I lost most of my group at this location. They could not fit past it. Only 2 of us went farther. I believe this was a part of the underground being made into a meeting area and dance floor. The next area had to be the dance floor. This is where a lot of paranormal tech is set up overnight for groups to conduct their investigations. First, for legal use. Again, attribution of this slide is to Google Earth Landsat Copernicus. This shows you an aerial view of the photo location. Why do I show this now? Because Apache Death Cave is not the real cave where 42 Apache were killed. People have been going to the wrong place, stating they feel and sometimes hear the dead warriors. I'm not sure what they were hearing and feeling. Again, the fake site. The large canyon around the site is known as Diablo Canyon. The real cave is 1/10 of a mile from the tourist trap at the bottom of Diablo Canyon. The Navajo sealed the entrance completely up by collapsing the hillside above the entrance. They entombed the Apache inside the cave. No one has been inside since then, meaning if someone were to reopen the mouth of the cave, they would find skeletal remains littering the inside. The cave itself is huge and goes back toward Meteor Crater. I learned of the real cave in 2021 through one of the Navajo Rangers and got the real story and information. I then used these 2 pieces of equipment to locate the cave. The left piece is a 3D geosurveyor. It's a magnetometer that can convert magnetic readings into a colorized map of the underground. The other piece of technology is a dipole ground penetrating radar that used multiple frequencies to see underground. I used 100 megahertz to locate the cave system here. In closing, I wanted to create this video to show people that many times history is polluted and incorrectly told because of financial gain. Time can cause facts about a real event to turn into folklore and mythology. I also wanted people to understand that many people have stated they conducted paranormal investigations and got real interaction from a site that is not a real location. How is that? What data did they collect? We must watch the data points we are collecting in paranormal investigations and understand the technology we're using. A lot of the technology does not do what it was intended to do or said to be able to do. We need to better understand the science behind what it is we are doing. A lot of it needs to be scrapped and reevaluated. Trust me, I know. I thought the site was the real deal for several years. However, I never stopped researching and asking questions. It's absolutely okay to be wrong. That's the only way we can move the science further and get to the truth. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. Please subscribe to my channel and tune in regularly as I plan to put out much of what I've collected over the last 2 decades. I'm not sure why I waited so long to do so, but it's coming. Take care.